Welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast, coming to you straight from the smallest big town in Texas with your host, mentor, and owner financing master, Mitch, a.k.a. Be the Bank Stephen. The possibilities of life without a J-O-B start here. So grab your pen and paper and listen up. Y'all just might figure out how to fail forward to financial freedom.
This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'm here by myself today in what we like to call a solo cast. I'm just going to talk to you about some thoughts that I've been having on a certain topic, and the topic is the problem with being rich. So, you think being wealthy is a piece of cake, you might want to think again, because there are obstacles to overcome and decisions to make. And sometimes the more money you make, the bigger these decisions can be. And if you handle them wrong, you won't be happy and wealthy. You might be wealthy, but you won't be happy and wealthy. So stay tuned for a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the problem with being rich. Okay, so it seems like kind of a oxymoron, right? The problem with being rich. Like, well, why would being rich cause a person a problem? Well, I think there's cases all over the news and the TV stations and airwaves and internet of people that, having an abundance of money hasn't really served them well. Now, would they have been in demise if they did not have money? Who knows? Maybe they're just destined to be in demise no matter what income level they had. But it's suffice to say that, wealth does bring some kind of larger, bigger temptations and options. And some of those options that you can have because you have money are not great options. One of the first things I'd say is if you could keep your wealth to yourself, it'd serve you well. It's a little hard. Actually, it's not a little hard. It's very hard to not share that you're successful with the people around you. And if you don't share it with them openly and outwardly in communication, then it's still hard to hide sometimes because they can just see the new car you're driving, they see the new house you bought and the neighborhood you live in, and they don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that you have done well financially. First thing that happens is family members, and, I hear this all the time. I hear it all the time. I see it all the time. I didn't really experience it very much myself, but I hear about it an awful lot. Family members, first of all, a successful person tends to want to hire or put their family in their business. This is a really, really, really tenuous move. I like to call it a bad move, but it's a tenuous move. I understand maybe your wife or your spouse, because they're kind of inherently involved in the business whether you like it or not. I mean, they're legally own half of it most of the time. And so that's a natural. The only thing about making your spouse an integral part of your business is that the whole point of this business is to become free and to be able to go do what you want when you want with the people that you love. And it's bad enough trying to figure out how to just get yourself on vacation for a month, much less yourself and another integral part of your business that your spouse is handling. So be careful when you're planning your business out in the future that you don't put so much of your family in important positions that when it becomes time to vacation, y'all all can't go together. I've had that happen, and I've seen that happen with a lot of people. The other thing is dealing with family is very, very stressful in the fact that it's not like a hired employee. And what I like about hired employees is that if they're not doing a great job or we don't see eye to eye, I just cut them loose. I let them go to be their own person and find their way someplace else. And that's when you start contemplating letting loose or even firing a family member, you're talking about a whole different set of issues. And the emotions of the whole thing, how much you really love them, even though they're not doing a great job, can cloud your decisions on how to run your business. The businesses are black and white. They don't know, nor do they care about your love for your daughter or your son or your wife. The business just needs someone to run it and run it right. And if it's not being run right, the business doesn't care. The business says this person has to go and you need to get someone else that can do a better job. And when you have a family member in that position, it's very tough. The other thing about family members and you being wealthy is they'll come for loans. And this is really difficult because if you happen to be wealthy in business and those around you can see it or know it, it gets very difficult to deny someone a $2,000 loan, a $3,000 loan, a $5,000 loan. It's like they look at you and say, You have it. You have more than you need. Why can't you loan me some money? And I just personally have been able to avoid a lot of that by saying these exact words. I don't loan money. That's not what I do, and I never have done that, and I'm not going to start now. And then personally, inside, if I decide to help them with their financial issue, then it's just a gift, and I'm just going to give it to them, tell them, no need to pay it back, don't want you to pay it back, take this and do what you will. And then I'm not going to do this again, but instead of this being a loan, it's a one-time gift, but I won't do it again. And even that's hard to tell someone you love. You know what I mean? So that's the subject of family. Then there's vices. You know, if you have vices, they just tend to expand when you have money. And, you know, a lot of people I know stay busy or don't go into retirement. When they were real transparent with me and talk to me straight face to face, and they'll tell me, you know, a person with a lot of money and a lot of idle time, with still a lot of youth left in them or a lot of energy left, can get into a lot of trouble. And they found that it was just better that if they stayed busy to do something instead of having all that idle time. A lot of people, you know, that retire get bored or die very shortly after that. Usually they just get so bored they can't see straight because, you know, they want it. They dreamed about being able to play golf all day long and all week long, but their friends can't go play golf all week long. They have jobs. And so there you are by yourself playing golf. I suppose you could meet some other wealthy people out on the golf course and solve that issue, but most people don't, transition that well. They want to keep their same old friends, and if their same old friends can't come, then they probably would just rather go back to work. And a lot of them do that. And they go back to work to keep their juices flowing and their mental savvy at top levels and to avoid those vices. Like I said, a person with a lot of money, a lot of idle time that still has a high energy level or moderately high energy level can find themselves in the wrong place pretty quick. And that has a lot to do with discipline. Your disciplines can shrink. You know, you may enjoy food and start to eat at the finest places and wow, you can afford it and you can have whatever you want and you can have as much as you want, and you look up one day and you know you're 50 pounds overweight. That's one that I struggle with, you know. It's like I can afford all this and I really want all this, but no, I shouldn't do all this. And that's how the kings used to end up with gout, is because they had so much of the finest stuff and they sat idle in between meals that they started having gout and having health issues just because there was too much of the good life. Not to mention smoking or alcohol or propensity for certain kinds of drugs. So this too can get out of hand and falls in the vices and the discipline section. So be careful when you start to come into your own to take heed that don't let yourself slip too far, because it can certainly happen. And if you're not paying attention, you can look up and wow, it's a long road to try to lose 50 pounds. You know, I mean, it's just a long road. Then, you know, there's other little things. They're not really big issues. They're blessings, of course, but they can become, there's charities. I mean, once you give to charity, they're going to call you every year. The charities that haven't called you will start calling you because maybe you hit some kind of list that you have given to charities. I don't know where that list is, but there seems to be one. Everyone in the world, when you give to something and it's tied to your name, everyone in the world seems to get your name, and now everyone's asking you. Even if you just give privately and they know your name, they're going to come back every year. So maybe it's the best just to give anonymously and not put your name to it. And I guess maybe that's really how we should do charity, is just anonymously. Also be careful of a growing overhead. Just like your weight could creep up on you because you can afford all these different, lavish foods and restaurants and drinks, your overhead can creep up and up and up as well. So be careful of your overhead. I am constantly looking for when I increase my overhead in one area. I like to at least twice a year call a meeting of everybody and go, I want everyone to review everything I'm paying for monthly, and I need to figure out what can I cut out or live without, or what do I not need anymore. So when I increase my overhead $500 a month, I like to find some place to go cut it. And surprisingly enough, a lot of times, things that I have bought into to increase my overhead a year ago are no longer relevant, or I don't care about them as much anymore, or I can live without them. And when I go to get into something else that's a $500 increase in my overhead, when I call that meeting and they go back and they look at all my expenses, they go, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I go, oh, well, that one right there? I don't need that one right there. How much is that one? Well, that's, $487 a month. Oh, I don't need that anymore. Yeah, cut that out. That's a great savings right there. I won't even miss that. I don't even know why I signed up for that. I didn't use it but about a week, It's like that gym membership. If you haven't gone to the gym in 6 months, just cancel it and go back when you want to. If you really want to go back to the gym, I'm sure they'll let you reapply. So, and then a little helpful hint, I like to call it pent-up demand. If you've been without anything, or if you've lived frugal your whole life, and then you start to come into money, or heaven forbid, you win the lottery, or you inherit a large sum of money. I've heard this from a lot of financial planners, that when that happens to someone, let's say it's $1 million, they take 10% of it, or $100,000, and they give it to the family member or the family and say, look, here's $100,000. We want you to have a good time. Take 10% of this money and go blow it. Go buy a jet ski, go on vacation, go parasail, go get your pilot's, do whatever you want to do. Blow through this $100,000 and get it out of your system. Because after this $100,000's gone, we're going to have to live within the income of this $900,000. We're going to live inside this budget. But let's get this pent-up demand out of the way, and let's go blow some money and just do some stuff that you never dreamed. I mean, charter a private jet and take your extended family to Cancun for the week on a private jet and do all that kind of stuff, and get it out of your system and get it to where, okay, done that, don't need to do it again. It was great, but, it cost an extremely ridiculous amount of money, and I don't need to do it again. But I'm satisfied that I did it, and my heart is full, and my belly's full, and everything's full, and I'm good. And now it's time to start living within this budget now. And you didn't, you lived your whole life without that $900,000 that you're using to produce income. So just take whatever it is that it makes and learn to live off of that. I mean, for heaven's sakes, you didn't have that $900,000 for your entire life until that day. And so why would you have to blow the $900,000? Why don't you just increase your lifestyle by the amount of income that $900,000 can make you, and not increase it so much that you're biting into the principal of that $900,000? And so that's my dissertation for the day. I hope maybe I struck a chord with some folks out there. Maybe this is just all ridiculous. I will tell you this. It's just my opinion. It's just my point of view. And there's probably lots of other things to add to this or to subtract from it. But I just wanted to give you a chance to contemplate, if you're on your way to being wealthy, or if you're already wealthy, might want to stop and think about a few things a little bit. And I hope it helps. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. Thank you for stopping by and listening to me. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you really want to help me, please go give me a 5-star review at iTunes, or you can go to Amazon and give my books a 5-star review, because let's face it, Mitch Stephen is not famous. A handful of people in the world know who I am, and that's it. And the only reason anyone signs up for my podcast or reads my books is because of 5-star reviews from people just like you. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate them and how much they mean to me. Thank you so much. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast, and we are out of here.
You've been listening to the Owner Financing Master, Mitch Be the Bank Stephen, on the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. Let us now blatantly and without apology bribe you towards financial freedom by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to reinvestorsummit.com and get you some. And y'all come back now, you hear?